The Porsche 911 and the Chevrolet Corvette, two iconic sports cars tested at the Consumer Reports test track. Next on Talking Cars. Hi, and welcome to Talking Cars with Consumer Reports. I'm Tom Muchler.
I'm Joe Veslak.
I'm Ryan Pudlikowski.
And I'm Gabe Shenhar.
On this episode, we talk about two iconic, fabulous to drive sports cars, the Porsche 911, Chevrolet Corvette. Both got recently redesigned, both got thoroughly tested by Consumer Reports. Gabe, where do we start?
Indeed.
Where do we start?
Two iconic ones, but you know what? We thought the Corvette would obliterate the 911 in acceleration, the 911 would destroy the Corvette in braking. And you know what? The opposite happened. Small margins, but 4.10 to 60 for the Porsche, and for the Corvette 4.3, and 107 feet of braking distance from 60 for the Corvette versus 108 for the Porsche.
Yeah, I mean, you do these braking tests for us, Joe. What
Yep.
are these things like?
They are like, you feel your brain hitting the front of your skull, basically. They stop so quick, and it actually makes a boring test kind of fun.
You also do acceleration for us, which is not a boring test.
No, that's fun. The 911 launches very well. It has tons of grip, where the Corvette struggles for grip because it has so much power.
And we have a rear drive 911. We do not have an all-wheel drive 911.
Correct.
So, yeah, we also don't have the most powerful 911 either. We have a Carrera S.
It's a Carrera S, 400 horsepower.
How many horsepower in Corvette? Do you know offhand?
Like 700.
That's like 460, isn't it?
460.
460, yeah.
That's what it feels like. Yeah, and both of these, we bought them with stick shifts, although most buyers won't. They'll either get...
Yeah, I mean, the Porsche PDK, which is an automated manual, it's got the innards of a manual transmission, but it works beautifully. I mean, it works really, really well.
Right.
I wouldn't, you would be wrong choosing a PDK with a Porsche.
You're probably not wrong buying an automatic Corvette either.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, yeah.
Ryan, the two cars have very similar 0 to 60 times, but they have a different character when it comes to driving them, don't they?
Yeah, the Corvette does feel faster. The 911's power is all over like 4,000 or 5,000 RPMs. You have to rev it up. But the Corvette is just instant throw you in the seat.
Right. I mean,
Power,
the,
you know. It's,
the Porsche is not a torque monster.
no,
it
and
builds up
but they're
nicely.
different. They're different
Right.
animals. They are.
Which would you prefer?
I'd take the Corvette.
Would you, just to have it right away?
It's something I've always liked. I'm partial to the Corvette.
You're partial to obliterating power.
Yes.
All at
Loud,
once.
obnoxious.
These cars have very different sound characters too, don't they?
Absolutely.
Ryan, so.
You don't have to ask. You know which car I'm in love with. But
That's a Ford Transit Connect that we just tested, right?
No, no. The 911 just inside and out. The car
Really?
that someday. I might live in a cardboard box, but I will have one.
I was going to ask you that. I mean, quite a few shows ago, we talked about your buying experience of the 911. Did it live up to what you expected?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, car's that good.
Yeah. I mean, I have very few, almost no faults with the car.
Wow. Gabe, you know,
I mean,
how does this 911 for you compare to our previous 911, the one we did in, I think, 06, last gen car?
Yeah, it's a little. There's a little less tactility, you know, in like a man-machine connection in a good way with this one. I mean, the steering is not.
Can you explain? Yeah.
Yeah, the steering is a bit artificial in this one, and also I think it's more muted in terms of sound. It's more livable. I mean, it's slightly more comfortable riding. It's slightly quieter. It's slightly more fuel efficient. I mean, that said, it doesn't mean that it's all of a sudden a GT car or a luxury coupe kind of thing. I mean, the car is, I mean, it's a sports car. I mean, it's a Porsche 911. I mean, it's a car that's meant and designed to really do well on a racetrack. And on our track, it is a delight. I mean, that car is in its element, and on track, it's just a pure joy.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because older 911s have a reputation. Like Beechcraft Bonanza airplanes. They were called doctor killers because you would have a certain they'd be rich man's toys. So you'd have someone buy this thing, they'd get in over their head. In the Porsche, it would be if you lift or brake in a corner going too fast.
Or if you add gas.
You personally had gas, or
or if you add,
too many beans?
Well, if you're on the throttle.
Okay, yes. If you step on the gas in a car. Yeah. And your world would rotate around you because of the polar inertia of the rear engine. Is that gone in this 911?
Definitely. It's a much more forgiving than it was in the past, obviously, but you can actually drift it, slide it around, have fun. It's not going to bite your head off. It's still a challenging car, you know, but it's much more rewarding.
Challenging in what way? To get to the limits, or?
Yeah, well, the previous 911 that we tested, the 997, was amazing on the track. It was, you know, if you wanted to go faster on the track, that car did that. This car does that, but it also is playful, and which we like to do here, is play around, slide it around. It's much more neutral at the limit. I mean, you could go into the corner and throw it sideways, and you can keep it there. Where the old 911, if you got it sideways, you were just watching where you were going because you were going in the grass.
Hoping no one's mowing the grass next to you.
Right,
though.
You didn't take it while Mikey was mowing the lawn. So, you know, it's just, I don't know. We were filming the other day. We were doing the B-roll for these two road test videos. Yeah, and I was driving the 911, Joe was driving the Corvette, and I got out after a couple laps, and I was ready to smoke a cigarette, and Joe was shaking.
Yeah.
From the Corvette, it terrifies
smoking
you.
a different kind of cigarette.
Yeah.
No, it terrifies you. Where this is like, it's really not. It's easy to drive. It's relaxing.
That's a point well made. I mean, it can't be stressed enough. I mean, this car it's fun, yet you know it's rewarding, but at the same time it's docile. It's so controllable. It's so everything happens so gradually and in a controlled measure kind of way. Whereas with a Corvette, I mean, it's also great. I mean, on the track, a Corvette.
It probably suits your driving style a little better too.
I mean, if you're not, if you don't have your wits about you with a Corvette, it's going to bite you in the ass.
How is your driving style? How would that favor the Corvette?
I guess I'm more for like the racing line, running a fast lap than, you know, as much drifting around.
Do you think you could run a faster line with the Corvette than the 911?
Absolutely.
What lets you do that?
I just feel like that car has higher limits. I would love to see lap times put down because I feel like I could go, you know, not blow the 911's doors in, but definitely beat it. I'd like to see.
Well, we just bought ourselves some time trials here.
Yeah, it sounds that way. Once the track dries, after we're done filming this in 9 more minutes, we'll have to start whipping around the track. What makes the Corvette more likely to bite your head off? Is it that the limits are so high and then you're done?
Yeah.
Yeah,
stiffer, sprung. It's just.
I don't know. The limits are maybe higher, but it's. I don't even know if I'd say the limits are higher, but I know that when you get to the limit, it is.
Yeah, it's knife edge.
Knife edge.
Like our old Z06? Or C6 Z06?
I find it more knife edge than that.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Because
that car had a reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hairy. It's hairy, and then there's all that torque. So you can even be a lower RPM, and you stomp on the throttle, and it's just going to throw the ass end right out on you.
So how does that translate into driving these cars every day? Because most people don't have a track in their backyard.
Right. Well, you have to be careful. When you drive the Corvette in the rain, for instance, you really have to be careful. I mean, that car will step out its tail and just all of a sudden.
Yeah, despite the stability control being on, because
I mean,
drive the thing on the road with stability control
eventually
on, of course.
it'll take care of you, but it can scare you. Whereas the 911 is again, it's much more docile, it's more livable, and as a daily driver, I mean, it's more civilized. There's better visibility. There's better. I mean, you can.
Visibility is huge because I mean that Corvette. You are sitting. Your ass is half an inch off the ground.
Right.
I mean,
it's so wide. I mean, the car is so wide. It's just that width is omnipresent.
Joe, driving each on the road, what would you? Like a normal
I
person?
actually will agree with them with the 911. It's a much more civilized sports car.
Well, it ought to be.
It's
It's how much money more? Yeah. You know, it's
110
versus 73, and we had to work to get that thing to 73. Well, we didn't have to work because that dealer only had loaded ones, but
Right.
it's a lot of options for 73.
Right, and you're not getting much cheaper than that in a Carrera.
No, because you
That's
had
stripped
you
pretty
had to
much.
look to find.
So
find
yeah,
a-
it's 110,000, and it's you know, it doesn't have a bunch of things that dealers like to throw on these cars.
Now, I mean, obviously, we said a lot of good things about the 911. It is worth saying this Corvette has a much nicer interior than ever before.
It's got seats.
It's got good seats. You know, the dashboard, getting in and out is still horrible. And it's got a corner on the dashboard that just, explain what it does. I mean,
well, it's just the corner of the dash. It sticks out right into when you're crawling in, and it's like it's sharp. It's a sharp corner.
And you are crawling in.
Yes, and you're crawling in, and as if crawling in isn't hard enough. Now you have to watch out for this dagger that's sticking out at you. I don't know who let that approve that. But.
Yeah, it probably looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's boil down. 911 or Corvette? Which would you take?
Corvette.
Wow. Okay.
We don't need to ask them.
Ryan, I'm confused as to which one you might choose.
It's
hard to.
911 till the day I die.
And Gabe, I think it's.
I'll take the 911. It's just there's more of a sense of occasion in that car than there is with a Corvette.
I'm going to be blunt. I find both of these cars to be. I'm a car enthusiast. I applaud. I appreciate what these cars do. They're way the hell too much on the everyday road. We were talking about this with Jake before the show. These are Nürburgring cars. These are number cars. These are technological moonshots that are. They're marketing exercises to show what the brand can do. But I don't want to drive them on the road. Give me an M235i. I'd much rather have that. Or if I had to get a two-seater sports car, I'm going to get a Cayman. But to be honest with you, a Cayman is $60,000, and not everybody has $60,000. So addressing that, I want to mention a question that came up in episode number 32 in the comments. From 93455 driver, I'm sure that means something. Another great show. If you could somehow bring in best value used rear-wheel drive, fun-to-drive cars, interested to see what CR thinks on and above what's in the site. Okay, you want to drive sports car. You don't have 75, you don't have 73 grand, you sure as hell don't have 110. What do you get?
Yeah, if you want to cut your teeth on, and it's got to be a rear-wheel drive car, then there is Nissan 240 SX. I mean, those are pretty cheap.
They've all rusted into the ground. Anything newer? Please, something newer.
There is Miata. There is Mazda RX-8 is a really sweet car.
Yeah, their rotaries go poof.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, but I mean, the two of us have owned Miatas.
Right.
I mean, Miata is the internet answer to this question.
Pretty much.
And what makes a Miata so great?
It's fun. You can have just as much fun in a Miata than you do with these cars.
And you're having that fun at 45 miles an hour. You're not having that fun at 95 miles an hour.
$4,500.
So the trees are coming at you much slower.
Yeah, everything happens slower. They're easier to drive. They're something more of like a training device to prepare yourself to be in a supercar like these.
You know, actually, it's a good point. You buy one of these cars, say you're a rich guy, you buy one of these cars to take it out on the track, it's probably not a bad idea to buy a spec Miata.
Right.
And learn on something that isn't going to kill you. Kill you so quickly.
So quickly.
Another option is like a late 80s, early 90s BMW 3 Series.
Yeah.
Is that new or used?
Used.
Used. Wow.
Yeah, a BMW 3 Series is definitely in the hunt here.
Totally. I mean, that car, you can really get yourself, hone your driving skills on that car before you move on to more expensive cars.
2 Series is new, but the
1 Series?
1 Series, or I was going to say even, and that's the FRS BRZ is still pretty new, they're starting to come around, I think, used.
Yeah,
and
I mean, probably it didn't start
that is
too
a
high.
really fun rear-wheel drive car, but a bit rough.
It's kind of abusive on the road. It's funny, we've got a BMW 228 press car here right now. And what did you say about it? What did you call it?
It's an FRS for grown-ups.
That's right. I mean, it's not a lot money. We're talking new now. You know, that's not a lot money more. You know, you could, if you were very conservative with the options, you're going to stay around 32.
Yeah, 35, 36,000 more realistically.
Well, if you get normal stuff. Yeah. But yeah, going back to used cars, a BMW 128 is a great car. The 135 is a lot faster, but tends to go boom. You know, they have turbo issues. 128s are reliable. You know, you can pick them up for 16, about 16, 17 grand for an 08 128i.
That's a hell of a buy.
Yeah.
That's 2000.
Oh yeah.
That's
Their prices are starting to come up though.
Yeah.
That's another rough ride.
Yeah.
High limit kind of.
I've never been a fan.
No?
I love the first
I don't fit
one.
in it personally. I wish I did.
First
but-
generation.
You love the
9,000
ones before they
9,000
tamed it a
RPM
bit?
Redline. That was a good car.
What about a Ford Mustang?
Yeah, you can get a Mustang V8, and
Especially
that's
around 2010, 2011, where they actually dialed in the handling. Right. How would that compare? Silence.
Well, I mean, it's a sporty car. It's not a sports car, really. I mean, it doesn't have the body control. It doesn't have the
I just remember
handling
body
finesse on the track. I mean, it's a little too much understeer. But you know, for someone who is looking at price and wants something simple that's really easy to
Well, you can
fix
mod the
and,
hell out of it. I mean, you know, and
easy to
I think
modify.
that's that's a huge attribute of good rear drive sports cars
Right.
is a wide enthusiast following, wide forum support, and cheap mods.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's actually interesting that bring up this question. I'm shopping again for you know a fun car, and if I actually spend my money, it'll probably be another Miata. You know, probably 10, 11 grand is going to buy an 06 Miata. I greatly prefer the new versions.
Yeah.
You know, every time I drove one, I asked why I didn't buy one.
Yeah. I would probably go first gen again just to put a cage in it and bring it back to a track.
Oh, well, you're going to turn it into a track.
Yeah, so I'm
wrap.
going to gut it, and it's not worth dumping
I want
that
leather
much money.
heated seats,
Yeah.
and I'm old. And
But how about, I mean, since you did that research on used cars, how about a Boxster from like, you know, 2003, 4?
that's an interesting thing. Boxsters, yeah, I mean, Boxsters are great cars. You have to watch out for intermediate shaft bearing issues on some of them. I think it's a little blown up internet hype, but there are expensive issues with a Porsche that can come and bite you. But if you got a sweet one, it's
If it were me, probably a 10, 12-year-old Boxster would do the trick.
wow. I'd rather have a newer Miata, but you know, to each their own. So we had
Different strokes.
That's right. We had a lot of fun on this episode talking about sports cars. We hope you had a lot of fun listening and watching. We'll see you next time.